Well, President-elect Donald Trump has announced plans to deport millions of undocumented immigrants once he takes office. Isabella Vesperini joins us from the newsroom to tell us more.
Thanks, Joe. Trump's plans could have massive consequences for the economy. It's also worrying for those who have good legal status here. I spoke with two Bloomington women about their concerns for the future. The two women wish to remain anonymous due to concerns about what may happen to them. They chose to go by Mary and Ruth. They came to the U.S. with their children from Venezuela to seek stability and escape persecution. The education system in Venezuela is unstable. There are teacher shortages, high dropout rates, and school conditions are poor. Last weekend, President-elect Trump spoke in an interview about his plans to deport people with criminal records and those who have entered the country illegally. He also said he would end birthright citizenship, but would be willing to work with Democrats to protect dreamers, immigrants who came to the U.S. as children. But Trump's plans could potentially negatively hurt people who still have good legal status.
All these groups of people are scared to death. Refugees are afraid that they're going to be deported because they're not citizens, even though they have a very good immigration status and are on a path toward citizenship. People with asylum.
A portion of the people Lenzen assists come to the U.S. to seek asylum. They have left their country for fear of persecution or harm. Once in the country, they have 1 year to apply for asylum. An immigration judge needs to review their application so they can be legally recognized as refugees and seek protection from the threats in their home country. Once the application is approved, they have a clear path to citizenship. But it can take years for an asylum application to be reviewed. The number of pending cases in immigration courts has increased 44% since last year, and 3.6 million cases are currently waiting to be reviewed.
If the people that are here temporarily, they're working and they're applying for asylum, but it hasn't been approved yet, then they're at risk. They do have a sheet of paper that says for 1 year you are authorized to be here and work, but you have to file for asylum. If you don't get that done within 1 year, then you are vulnerable.
That period of being in limbo, waiting for their applications to be approved, is stressful for Mary and Ruth, even if they're both here legally. They're afraid of being separated from their kids. Ruth fears she'll be deported to Mexico and not be able to come back. Mary is currently working with a lawyer to prepare for her asylum hearing next year, but is still scared. For those whose status is not that good, Lenzen tries as much as possible to reassure them.
I advise them to be quiet and make sure their car, all the lights are working so the police can't stop for a bad brake light. Follow the speed limits. Make sure your license is current. Don't get in any arguments with people.
Lenzen's organization assists about 20 families at a time. He provides financial resources, rental assistance, transportation to and from health appointments, and more. He also helps people learn about their legal rights. 2 families from the Refugee Support Network were deported during Trump's last presidency.
We're helping them arrange to have legal advice so that if the father is grabbed and deported, but the children are U.S. citizen, well, where do the children go? Do they have a guardian, a court-ordered guardian, a family member that can take care of them?
Deporting millions of people could severely harm the economy and raise prices.
I think the idea that we can somehow deport everyone who is undocumented or whose case gets turned down and still have the economy function is false.
Data from 2022 shows that nearly 48 million immigrants live in the country and generated about $1.6 trillion in economic activity. Immigrants most often work in educational and health services, professional and business services, and construction. Many immigrants also occupy jobs in the food industry, picking fruit, meat packing, jobs many Americans don't want.
People say that undocumented workers drive wage rates down because they'll work for a lower wage. But the truth is, Americans are not competing for those jobs. It's not like if you get rid of all of the people coming in from Mexico and El Salvador or Guatemala, all of a sudden Americans will stream into the meat packing plants or start picking strawberries.
In 2023, about 433,000 immigrants came to Indiana, about 6.3% of the population. About 24% of those immigrants are undocumented. The immigrant population in the state has increased 4.8% since 2013.
We are seeing a huge uptick in people that don't have legal status here. It's causing a lot of problems. It's overrunning our school systems. It's overrunning our healthcare systems. And so we have got to get a handle on the illegal immigration problem. It really is a federal issue, but if the feds won't do it, then the states have an obligation to do that.
Many immigrants come into the country legally, but then don't leave. In 2022, about 853,000 visa overstays were reported. President-elect Trump vows to deport these people and more. Reporting from the newsroom for Indiana News Desk, I'm Isabella Vesperini.